So good evening, everybody. This is Vitali here at Firestorm Records and Studios and Red Barn Productions, and this is part 4 in the series of how to successfully put on a tour. This part is going to be how to survive the tour. We've covered promotion and photography and video and all the things that you should have done before you ever left home, including saving up and leaving with a pocket full of money. And we've already covered a few of the reasons why in prior videos. We're going to cover a few more now. The one thing that you can count on is nothing ever goes quite as planned. Anything that can go wrong will, and usually does. So it's best to be prepared as best you can. I think I'm going to take this time and we're going to, step back to the photography and video and all that. While you are out on tour, you need to either A, have a really good camera, or a photographer along that can do it for you. For photography, you need to do photography and video. It doesn't do any good to go do a tour if you don't get any documentation from it, be it photography, video, that you can share with your fans and share with future promoters and venues and all that. I mean, if nothing else, you've just worked your butt off and put on this tour. Later on down the road, you would like to look back at it and say, do you remember this, or do you remember when we did this, and be able to look at it. It's probably in your best interest to hire somebody to come along with you and take care of that for you. That being said, depending on how far out you're going and how long you're going to be gone and how many shows you're doing, it's probably in your best interest to hire a professional driver. I don't care if it's a rental van or a tour bus. You do not want to be out on the road doing back-to-back shows and driving all night, half the day in between shows, getting there, unloading, loading in, setting up, doing the show, getting back in the van and driving to the next one and not getting any rest. That is a recipe for disaster. I cannot tell you how many times I've been sitting here late at night or out on the road at night and be on my Facebook or my Twitter, and one of the many bands that I know post a picture of the vehicle that they're in and the equipment trailer on the side of the highway wrecked. They will usually give you some bullshit story, bless their hearts. The reality is either A, they fell asleep and wrecked, or B, they ran into weather that they were not used to driving in and they wrecked, or B, they ran into a situation that they didn't know how to handle and they wrecked. The end result being that they wrecked and totaled the van, and there they are. And it usually ends with, but we're okay. Well, not always. Hire a professional driver, somebody that can drive. If you have time and you know that there's going to be enough time between this show and the next show to get some rest, hey, that's great. That driver can help you load in, load out, whatever. You need to make sure that he gets rest as well. But if it's going to be back-to-back shows, then he needs to be doing nothing but driving. It would probably be in your best interest that when you're booking your shows and you're planning it out, that you take all this into consideration and have an enjoyable tour, and everybody be alive at the end of the tour to go out and do it again. That's one of the reasons that I get hired so much to go do what I do, is because they call me the MacGyver of the entertainment industry, and I take that as a compliment. Those of you that have been following me for a long time know that I used to be a professional truck driver, and that that has carried on over into my entertainment career, I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and do whatever needs to be done to make it a success, and that up to and including driving the band when needed. I live out here in West Odessa, West Texas, Middle Odessa. For those of you that need to find it on a map, I can load up here, leave here at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the afternoon I'm in LA, or I can load up here and leave here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and 10 o'clock that night I'm in Nashville. Unless I want to dilly-dally around, then it's a little bit longer, but I can be from here, 15 hours later I'm in Nashville, or 13, 14 hours later I'm in LA. That's what I do for a living. That's why I strongly suggest that you hire somebody that does it for a living, or has done it for a living and knows how to do it. Okay, we've covered photography, video, driving. We've also mentioned that the one thing you can count on is nothing ever goes quite as planned. Anything that can go wrong will. So we're back to making sure that you've got that pocket full of money before you leave, and here's some reasons why. You never know, no matter what time of year it is. We've mentioned this in the last video. It doesn't matter where you are, you're going to run into something that might delay you. You might break down, show get canceled, just out and out. You've done everything that you thought you needed to do, and for whatever reason the show didn't go well and you didn't make any money. You need to have money on you, because the reality is that you have to eat and sleep while you're on the road. That being said, I realize that no matter how much I have preached about you leaving with a pocket full of money, a lot of you will probably leave home with little or none, hoping for the best. Okay, in that case, you may not have enough money to rent a room that night. So where do you stop and get cleaned up? TA truck stops, Petro truck stops, Pilot truck stops, Love's, Flying J, they all have showers for the drivers. It's anywhere from $7 to $11, depending. It may have went up. Last year they were average. It was $10, and you can go in there and get you a shower and a shave, whatever you need to do, and get cleaned up. Another good thing is hopefully you've took the time to and put all this extra effort into promoting on Facebook, and you have hopefully picked up some fans and made friends with other bands in the cities that you're going to be in and performing and all that. If I have not mentioned that now, I'll take that time now. If you put on if you get booked for a multi-band show, which is quite common in heavy metal and deathcore and all that, try to reach out to the other bands, make friends with them, and find out who's local and who's not, etc., etc., etc. It's a good practice for everybody involved to become good friends with the other bands that they're working with, because you never know when you'll need their help. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm doing the show but we couldn't get a room. Is there someplace that we can crash tonight? I can't tell you how many times I've had bands crash right here at the shack. Yeah, they've had to sleep on the floor. We just made pallets and did the best that we could, but it beat sleeping in the van, and they were able to get cleaned up, get a little bite of something to eat, get some coffee in them, whatever, and head on down the road to the next show. That being said, when you return home, be sure to pay it forward, because nobody gets ahead without the help of others. And there's nothing worse than being out on the road and people helping you along, and then when you get home you turn into a total egotistical bastard and you don't return the favor. People will remember it. Always pay it forward. This falls back to where I'm not going to preach religion or politics, but I will preach do the right thing every time and do the best you can every single day with whatever you have on hand. And if you do that, you won't have to worry about it at the end of the day. Eat well. It's hard to do when you don't have a lot of money and it looks like the dollar menu at McDonald's. But try to eat healthy. Drink plenty of water. Drink plenty of fruit juice. Take vitamins and stuff along with you. If there's any legal medication that you have to have, try to have that on you as well. I realize that being in the music scene, that drinking and doing drugs is a big part of it. You really don't need to be drinking and performing and doing drugs and performing. I'm sorry. You may do that at home. You really don't need to be doing it out on tour. Know your limits and stop well before you get it. Because the whole idea is to leave the show at the end of the night with as much of your money in your pocket as you possibly can. A lot of venues will let you run up a bar tab, and you need to establish before you ever buy a drink, are they providing a bar tab up to a certain amount for free as part of the pay, or are they going to give you a bar tab and expect you to pay it full at the end of the night because they love to have you open the bar tab and you drink more than they owe you, because then you owe them money. Make sure you understand the rules of the game up front before you play the game, because if you don't, you will lose every time. I realized that in California, Colorado, and New Mexico and Washington, they're real lenient on marijuana and all that. Texas, for instance, is not. We have an express lane straight to jail. They have no tolerance for drugs. If you don't believe me, ask Willie Nelson and any number of P. Diddy, Snoop Dogg. You ask them. Every one of them have been busted right here in Texas, and it's cost them a big old chunk of money to stay out of jail. If you don't have a big old chunk of money, it's best that you don't have it on you when you come through Texas. That's Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida. If you're not in California and you're not in New Mexico, well, in New Mexico you'd better have a medical card. But you understand what I'm saying. It's best to not even have it on you. I'm not trying to rain on your parade, but the whole thing is you're trying to have a successful tour and be as professional as possible and build up a career and a reputation and all that. So it's best to avoid the common pitfalls associated with the music industry. That's alcohol, drugs, and wanton sex. I'm not saying that you can't have a relationship. I'm not saying you can't have a good time, but you need to be very careful, because those things right there will ruin you faster than anything. I believe we've covered everything. Once again, if you have the means and you need somebody to take care of this for you, you can always contact me and we'll work something out. If nothing else and you need some help, feel free to ask the question in the comment section below the video, or message me or email me, and I will do my best to either A, answer it right then, or B, address it in another video, or C, both. But I will always do my best to get you the answer. If I do not know the answer, I know plenty of people who do. I'm not afraid to ask. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Reverb Nation. You can also find me on IMDb. For those of you who do not know what IMDb is, that's the international database for movies and all that. You can go over and check out my resume. If you like me on Twitter, or if you follow me on Twitter, I always follow back. If you like me on Facebook, I try to like you back as fast as I can. If you fan me on Reverb Nation, I fan you back just as soon as I get to it. I always return the favor. I always try to show whatever support that I can. I hope that helps. This is Vitali here at Red Barn Productions and Firestorm Records, and y'all have a good night.